There we are. Oh, there we are. Ooh.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to Women's Work on Expanded Understanding YouTube channel. My name is Angela Miller, and this is the lovely Esther Lohneis. And tonight we're talking all about mind control, trauma-based mind control, and mental health, and what effects this can have on our lives. We're seeing mental health numbers increase. So we thought we'd have a little discussion about this subject because it's really important. People are being affected day by day. So welcome, Esther.
Hello, Angela.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very, very good, actually. It's been an absolutely beautiful day here in Somerset, the UK, and lots of stuff going on. Went for a walk up the Tor in Glastonbury, which was extremely pleasant. Quite a few people up there visiting this beautiful town, heart chakra of the universe, so say some people. But yes, I'm very good. How are you doing?
I'm okay. It's full moon. Yeah, is that right? Have I got the day right? Because I, barely know what day it is apart from Mondays, and the rest is work. I think it is.
It
is. I think it is. So it's wreaking havoc with my waters this evening. Oh, gosh. So please do excuse me. It is full moon. It is the Lion's Gate. Obviously, we're blessed on full moon in other ways as women.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Unless you've entered the menopause, as I have. Hooray!
Well, I haven't got there, but what I do get is the full moon. So I'm just going to recalibrate in this moment to my divine self. She can do no wrong. So it's been quite a fascinating day. The energies are increasing on the planet. It is ramping up for a lot of people out there. And when I say ramping up, I mean the situations of the now are coming to the forefront, aren't they? And we're seeing people around us behaving in very, very strange ways. And it's not what we're used to. So what I wanted to do is just have a quick look at the history of mind control very quickly on a full moon, Lion's Gate, with a period. Great. We're going to cook tonight. Right. Okay. So let's just have a quick look here. So now the Tavistock Institute formed in 1947 and is an independent, not-for-profit organisation which seeks to combine research in the social sciences with professional practices. Problems of institutional building and organisational design and change are being tackled from their perspective in all sectors: government, industry, commerce, health and welfare, education, nationally and internationally. Their clients range from multinational companies to small community groups. Growth area has been the use of a developmental approach to the evaluation of new and experimental programs, particularly in health, education, and community development. This has also produced training events along the regular program of group relations conferences. The Institute owns and edits the monthly German journal Human Relations, which is now in its 48th year, approximately, and recently launched in conjunction with Sage Publications, a new journal of evaluation. Now, the American foundation of this is the CIA, and the American Foundation was created by the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations in 1921, which is a bit different. So we have this sort of post-World War I era coming forth. And they're beginning to be established at that time. Tavistock where did I see that? Tavistock is headquartered in London. Its prophet is Sigmund Freud. Settled in Maresfield Gardens when he moved to England, he was given a mansion by Princess Bonaparte. Tavistock's pioneer work in behavioural sciences along Freudian lines of controlling humans established as its world centre of foundation ideology. It now extends from the University of Sussex to the US through the Stanford Research Institute, Esalen, MIT, Hudson Institute, Heritage Foundation, Centre of Strategic and International Studies at Georgetown, where State Department are personally trained, US Air Force Intelligence, RAND and MITRE corporations. So here we have a network of secret groups involved too. Trilateral Commission, Club of Rome, and all of these names that we may or may not have heard over the years. But the point of it is that they provide the research base and foundation for learning how to control our lives. So I thought I'd have a little dig around on their website, and it's really interesting. What do they do? What do they do? Well, hold on. And this is the offshoot, and particularly the Behavioural Insights team provide data to Tavistock Institute. Okay, so what do the Behavioural Insights team do? Well, when I look at health and well-being, they provide data here on the mitigating, thank you, Santos, mitigating the impact of COVID-19 on higher education, right? The disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on ethnic minorities in the UK, insights on social distancing, Britain's emotional journey through COVID and the impact on well-being. Okay, so, you know, it's quite interesting, the types of languages that they use here. I'm fascinated by it. So with the mention of local government and services, they provide data to local government to act in a specific way. And I'm being hassled by the dog at this moment. So what they do is provide policy for organisations and so on to control or tell people, in essence, how they should live. Now, I wonder what the impact of these policies are on individuals. So these policies, in effect, control the way that we receive healthcare, the way that we are diagnosed in terms of healthcare and well-being, but also providing an apparent mental behavioural insight that can be applied to human behaviour. So once you control human behaviour at a cultural level, a historical level, a business level, global commerce level, an educational level, an industrial level, then you have all these elements of control weaving their way into our lives, often with people not really understanding why they feel unhappy about it. I find it very interesting because with the element and the dawn of this system narrative virus that has affected every single person on the planet, then that's created a certain level of fear, which is the key emotional proponent of trauma-based mind control, is to mold a population so that they control the outcomes and behaviours of that population. What do you reckon?
Well, very possibly. That may be, you know, the intent behind it. But I feel that there is a big cloud of fear over the planet anyway, and that you know, that fear, as more and more people awaken, that fear dissipates a little bit more, and that's the control that we have, is to, you know, do our personal work and walk forward. And once the work never finishes, but once you've reached a certain level and you can facilitate other people's, work for other people, then to me, that's the way I can get my head around, stuff like you've just read out, because really on another level, it doesn't make that much sense to me.
Mm.
And, sometimes when people sort of, talk about a lot of that kind of stuff, it feels very disempowering, because it's like, well, what can I do with that?
Yes.
So for me, I personally, I tend to ignore a lot of it, whether it's going on or not, and I just do the bits that I can do, because that's empowering to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I can then have a positive effect on the world.
So how, let's look at the chief proponents of propaganda. TV, newspaper, internet, Facebook, whatever, social media.
Mm-hmm.
The things that people tell you. Imprinting a version of reality. Yes, I've spoken of a version of reality. But it's one that we've all had to sort of face and work our way through in some way, shape, or form. But but there are some that are really struggling. Do you think that our younger people are struggling with this, like our children and teens?
With specifically this virus, or?
Yeah, let's look at that as an example of trauma-based mind control.
Well, I think it varies. I really do think, some of them won't be struggling at all. It's always that thing on a spectrum, and others would be struggling greatly. And then there's sort of all that bits in the middle. From personal experience, it can have to do with not being able to see their friends. That can be one of the biggest traumas, depending what's going on in the home.
Mm-hmm. So for a teenager, it's going to be trickier than it is for a fully grown adult. Would you say?
Possibly. It sort of depends on the teenager, really. Well, my experience having a teenager in my home, it hasn't been traumatic for them. But then, they've got me. They've grown up with me giving my version of events. So, I've just basically been quite laid back about the whole thing and easygoing. And obviously that translates. But if you've got teens or children living in a home where people are very fearful, or maybe they've got high risk, so-called high risk relatives, that will definitely have an effect, of course. And it kind of, to my mind, squeezes people, and it can pressurize them so much with everything else, all the other societal pressures that they're under. The whole system that that we've been forced to live under is kind of just creates mental health problems anyway. But I do feel it's about where you focus on. I feel like that's important.
Yeah. So, excuse me, I've got a creaky chair. Willow is saying that she thinks, Willow, I think, is 21. And she thinks that there is a problem many younger people are dealing with. Willow, if you'd like to elaborate on that, if you can give us a specific example, that would be great. Because we really need to sort of bring up ways of how we can deal with situations that appear to be out of our control. What would you say about that, Esther, in terms of assessing a problem that's out of your control, that feels bigger than what it is? Or I know it's all very subjective, because it feels like that to the individual and it might look like that to somebody else. So how can we internally recognize when there's an issue? How can we diagnose that within ourselves, or make that decision, or even realize or become aware of it if there is a problem?
Well, I mean, really simply, that things don't feel right. Or you might feel kind of unhappy or discontent. I think that's the first pointer. That's, your feelings that we've been kind of trained not to believe. At least I was, as I grew up. It's all about logic. It's all about that sort of classically male dominated sort of way of looking at things.
So can you elaborate on that?
On the
male dominated way of looking at things that often we can.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, being told, if, like, my experience growing up was that if I had a feeling and I expressed that, and it wasn't one that was welcome in my family or in my school, I was basically told to sort of shut up and get on with whatever it was that I was supposed to be doing. So not being able to be heard, not being seen, and also being told that how I felt didn't really mean anything, had quite a sort of impact on me, because then what do I do with these feelings that I've got? So for me, that's the first pointer of when, something's not quite right, and you might not know what that is, but those feelings are important. It's like, something's not quite right. Let's follow that thread. Let's follow it to wherever that might lead. And usually, to me, but as a counsellor and a shamanic healer, it leads to something within you that isn't right. Now that may very well be reflected in the outside world, but I can't do anything about the outside world. That's how I've come to see it. But I do have power about myself, so getting to know yourself. One of the oldest spiritual sayings is know thyself.
It is true. I mean, I myself experienced mental health issues in my 20s, and I didn't even realize as well that we're going to go on to what Willow's answer in the chat is that I had no idea that, I'm going to be very honest about this, that when a car came towards me and the headlights were flashed upon me, I was not supposed to melt down. It was normal. So you imagine I was a right nightmare in traffic. But I had absolutely no idea that was even a thing. It was a trigger response to extreme PTSD, basically. But it would manifest in the form of extreme panic attacks, and which was my own system completely short-circuiting, unable to cope with what was going on in the environments. That's what growing up in Britain does to you. And I laugh and say about it, but I'm sure there are many people that experience depression and anxiety issues. I'm pretty sure of it. And Willow is saying here that she thinks that talking about it and sharing the experience with others is very helpful. She didn't even know she was struggling with mental health until other people pointed it out to her. And she didn't have any education on mental health or how to properly process emotions when she was a child. And learning how to deal with that has been so difficult, but so rewarding. That's amazing. So,
Absolutely.
what do you think? What do you feel we could maybe provide some sort of resource for parents who might be watching now or in the future to handle the way that their child is feeling, maybe noticing certain things? What are the telltale signs to look out for?
Of stress and yeah. Well, I guess a change in behavior. I mean, I'll just say generally it's very important to have lines of communication open. To me, that's the primary thing as a parent with your child. And I saw some meme the other day, and it's something like, if you listen to the small stuff, then they'll tell you when the big stuff is happening. And that's absolutely the thing. But if you're a parent and you haven't learned how to do that, or you were very shut down as you were growing up, then that's quite a skill set to suddenly expect someone to have. So I feel like it's a learning thing. You know, there's plenty of books, there's YouTube videos that you can access for nothing by very well thought of people in their fields who are fantastic talking about trauma. For example, Gabor Mate. I don't know if he specifically speaks about young people. But the other thing which I feel is really important, which Willow has pointed out, is something about being heard and being witnessed.
Yes.
So if you, or even just having that a friend reflecting back to you, I think there's an issue here, or there's something going on with you, because I've noticed it. And someone that you trust telling you that, is extremely, they've obviously put their finger on something which you now need to go and explore. But, community, however that is experienced now, like with a group of friends, is very important. Going out into nature and really connecting to your true essence and true soul, not all the layerings that you have had, over that as you've grown up, is a way, a really quick way. Actually, just go out in nature on your own with no music, no phone, turn it off, or turn the sound off, and just go outside and be alone for half an hour and look at the trees and listen to the birds. That'd do you more good than a lot of other stuff.
So it's that natural connection, rediscovering the natural part of you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. Yeah, rediscovering that natural part of you, definitely. But also, having witnesses, having friends.
Yeah.
Being able to share your feelings, your true feelings, with someone or other people who aren't going to judge you for that or tell you that you're wrong because it doesn't fit the narrative that they're sort of running, that they're on. So to be listened to, yeah.
So the act of listening to your children and noticing their behaviours. Have there been any drastic changes in their behaviours, their personality? Are they eating? Are they sad?
Yeah, absolutely. And, apart from the last few months, for some people, we live in a very busy world where sometimes that's difficult to do, because of all the pressures that are put upon us as adults. But yeah, I mean, really, to be present with your child and put aside some time where you are with them and they have an opportunity to speak if they need to or want to.
And I suppose that's one thing that this lockdown has done for us, is that we are engaging on a much deeper level with our children in some way.
Yeah, for many people it's been like that because I've actually spent some time with them. And I've read various different news reports of people saying, oh my, at last I've been able to spend some time. And that's what my child said to me. I've loved this time because now I'm with you. And that's the important thing. It's about presence. Our own presence with ourselves, and that we can extend out, to our children and to others.
I mean, Willow says, I think that it's very important to do this because as a parent, it gives lots of opportunities for communication, but don't be too nosy. Oops.
Absolutely.
Guilty, sorry.
Well, it's a balance. It's all, yeah, well, you want to keep your children safe, but at some point they're going to have to go out in the world and, face whatever they're going to have to face as they walk through life. So it is always a balancing act. It's like a tightrope in a way, a bit like that sometimes, that you have to walk, and we all make mistakes. Sometimes we're going to get it wrong. I feel that's okay as long as you can own that and actually go and say, I'm sorry. I messed that one up, but I'm a human being, but I'm actually here now, and I'd love to hear about whatever, if you want to share it.
Yeah. It's a very delicate area, isn't it?
Absolutely. Definitely can be.
Willow says that also providing your child with another adult to talk to, a safe adult to talk to, or other resources so that they can gain perspectives from other people other than their parents. Yes, that is so true, actually, Willow. It really is.
Yeah, so they can, and also they need to make up their own mind, because they are individuals. They're not little mini clones of their parents.
No. And do you know what I'm really finding at this age is the beginning of not the beginning, the emergence of self-individuation from family, from business world of life, and the government, education, and the existence around that. And you go through this process, and because you start to have all these feelings. What is my position in relation to this? How do I feel about this? And the combination of hormones and thought processes and previous issues all come up to the surface. Hi, Maya Rose. How are you there in the chat room? So yeah, all of these things really do have an impact. And so from, can you tell me a bit more about your counselling career? About, you do private one-to-ones with people, don't you? But you also teach workshops and you teach other counsellors counselling.
Other counsellors counselling, absolutely. Well, maybe I'll start with that bit and work backwards from what you've asked me. But well, yeah, I teach people who are wanting to become counsellors. So there's various, in the UK, there's various sort of routes into that. So yeah, I've just finished teaching. So there's 4 levels, and I've just finished teaching a level 2 class, counselling skills. So, which is all about really what we've been talking about. It's being able to be present with yourself, so you can kind of put your own stuff to one side and actually therefore extend that presence to someone else, be it a child or another adult. So I really got into counselling because, well, I'd always thought for many years that that's what I wanted to do. And then, of course, life throws you sort of curveballs. And what happened for me was that I got the call to Glastonbury, which was really a shamanic path. So I'd all lined up actually to train as a counsellor, and this is about 20 years ago. And instead of that, I threw it all to the wind and came to Glastonbury and trained on a shamanic path very intensively for about 8 years, and then it got less intense. And at the same time, I started some counselling training. And eventually, went back to school and finished my counselling training, and now I've been working in that area for quite a few years. So, and it's, they combine together very well, the shamanic and the counselling, but counselling is, it's very simple, but people seem to find it quite difficult to do. to listen to others.
So, can you describe a shamanic counselling function? How does that work in comparison to traditional means?
To traditional counselling? Well, for a start, my training was in counselling was psycho-spiritual, which means it's all my course is accredited, but the spiritual is woven through that. So shamanic counselling, if you combine the two, is very much about facilitating, obviously listening to the person and what they're bringing and really being with them in that, but then facilitating them to journey into other realms and make tweaks for themselves, to make changes on that spiritual level, and then it will gradually filter down into the physical. And the core counselling skills work very well in that. I mean, what I've found is, and this is not going to be true, obviously, hopefully for the majority of practitioners, but some people who are alternative therapists don't really know how to listen or hold someone. And some counsellors aren't interested in, I don't know, spiritual experiences, or they just kind of think it's all a bit of rubbish, or maybe the person's got mental health issues instead. But it's quite a good combination, I've found, to be able to work with people.
So you're coming from a very traditional shamanic practitioner background, would you say?
Yeah, well, it's core shamanic techniques. So I don't, there's no lineage that I follow, but I wasn't really interested in that. So I don't know whether it's more kind of the modern way of applying those techniques as opposed to a sort of more traditional thing. But I guess at its core it is, because I go into a trance state, which I usually drum myself into these days, connect with my helpers and allies in spirit that I've built relationship with over time, and tell them whatever it is that the person's wanting to focus on, and they will do the work. So I witness that work. I may participate in it, but more it's they're doing the work, and I'm the bridge. I've got a foot in both worlds. so that takes place, I'll come back and I'll tell the person, you know, if they need to do anything or what's gone on, what's been said. It's actually a very powerful method of healing.
I've experienced it, as you know.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about
That's
that?
right.
No. I'm joking.
I have. Yes, well, I don't mind.
Yes, I do.
Over to you. Yeah, let's talk about you.
Oh, no. Let's not talk
Let's have
about.
a live counselling session.
All right. Okay, let's do that. Okay. So I'm coming to you. I feel really low because I'm not connecting.
Mhm.
I'm easily irritated. What am I? I've got to think of things because I'm not obviously feeling like that. So I'm just trying to give an example persona of depression, of how I maybe used to be. Things feel very sensitive to me, and I feel like I could break down and cry at any moment. And it seems to happen when I'm around lots of people. I hear lots of noises and I can suddenly feel overwhelmed in my gut, and the feeling just takes over like that. I become white, disconnected, and I begin to tremble and shake. And I can't look at anyone. I can't be around anyone. I don't have no wish to engage with anyone. And then when I have to go out, I go into my local store. I receive, around me very fearful people, which immediately puts me on edge, and my stress levels are rising because of that. I can feel that. Now, what do? I can't cope when people are around me shouting that I should be perhaps putting on a mask. That happened to me, but just as something. And then I have people all around me telling me how I should live. And their system tells me how I should live. And I really don't like it, because actually this is me in my 20s, right? This is me. This was me, actually. We've come a long way, but it was an example of how I felt. And everywhere I looked and felt, there was a glass ceiling above me. And I couldn't rise beyond it because I just kept hitting this. My energy felt weak. I felt drained around others. And felt that I wasn't really understood. Now I know why. But back then I had no idea.
I mean, it sounds really, really distressing to be in that situation, or, a series of situations where you suddenly feel overwhelmed, I think is the word that you used. Yeah, I mean, that's just sounds really difficult in itself.
It was, yeah. I still managed to keep down a job, though, at that time, all the time throughout. I still managed to maintain a professional career. I just did all that at home, quietly, where no one would see me.
Did what at home?
Just the dealing and understanding what I was dealing with, because I actually didn't know. I didn't know I would have these really intense reactions to people, places, environment, etc. I thought I was weird. There was something wrong with me because I wasn't like everybody else.
And so you said you tried to deal with it, or you dealt with it at home, away when you kind of behind closed doors or whatever. So I'm just wondering what that was for you. What happened?
I was smoking an awful lot.
Mm.
I was probably drinking at the time as well. And then I discovered clubbing,
Mm-hmm.
and things changed. It was a different environment. People were happier, more expressive of their souls.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So
So,
what? Yeah, sorry, go on.
no, I was just thinking this is quite common for young
Mm.
people into their
Mm.
20s because
Mm.
they don't know why things that and then they begin to accept things as the way that they were or
Mm.
appeared to be in reality around them when it really wasn't the case.
Mm. So I guess I'm wondering what you got from clubbing, apart from people being happier.
Movement, happy,
Mm-hmm.
and a core spiritual connection that I'd never experienced before.
Right. So
With
and
sound, light. So it was a kind of therapy
Mm.
exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think what I was uh, kind of waiting for you to say was that word connection,
Yeah.
because what you described before in some way was this massive disconnection,
Yes.
to yourself and also to the society around you. What is this? And the panic attacks, to me, it seems like, were your kind of suppressed feelings, and possibly, trauma just stuck in your body somehow, saying, listen to us, listen to us, listen, something's really badly wrong here, listen.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. So it was something, it's the disconnection connection thing, connection to
Mhm.
the truth of self. I was disconnected. And it had been a gradual process of disconnection since I started into the system at school.
Mm.
Despite I
Mm.
liked things about it, I loved school,
Mm.
but it was the other layers that came creeping in around religion,
Mm.
behavior, duty, expectation, not really much input, to be honest.
Mhm.
But what it did teach was a way of that. What I did know is that I was experiencing this journey, but what I could not understand or comprehend inside me was the way that people behaved and for what reasons they did that.
Mm.
So that took me on a whole path into psychology, into out of the other end. But the whole
Mhm.
process was about what I really wanted. And I remember this well. I remember denying this connection in myself. What I really wanted was the connection. And this crystal idea came to me at 17. Uh, it was a whole conversation there. And I denied it. I denied it access because I didn't want to do that because it would be seen to be a bit weird, not knowing that I was
Mhm.
actually really on the path.
Mhm.
But after all
Mhm.
that, I found my way to me when I was left with no other choice,
Mm.
other than to deal with it. And they, it was like, right, you're going to stop moving now. You are unable to walk. So by the age of 28, I wasn't able to walk. And I can remember in High Street, Kensington, thinking, if I can't walk, I'm pretty much in trouble. I was going to swear, but I chose not
Mhm.
to. Um,
Mhm.
so I had to go internally to address all the toxicity in my body.
Mhm.
And that include toxic thoughts, why I felt the way I did. And it was, as you said, it was following that line, that string. Is that what you said about string? Follow the line?
Yeah, follow the
String.
thread.
thread. It's not one or the other, thread. The thread of things. So I really get your approach.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
these are the experiences that we take as being normal, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
know they're feeling it. They just think that there's something wrong with them. They don't
Mm.
work properly. And so
Mm.
there's a feeling of low self-worth that will come into that. So these compacted emotional feelings as a result of this disconnection with self is really quite phenomenal.
Mm.
And I think it's really under addressed.
Mm. Well, yeah, I mean, we sort of grow up surrounded by traumatized or set, on that spectrum people, and we become traumatized to some extent or another. And it's like, well, so there the disconnection happens through that. And like you said, certain things are normalized, and actually they're it's completely crazy, but this is just what happens. So actually people's what happened to you, or people's responses with anxiety, or like, what is this sort of thing, or depression, which tend to go together often, are actually very normal responses, actually very logical responses to the craziness that they've had to endure growing up, whether that's from society, school, or all the contradictions and hypocrisies that they've been exposed to.
Mm. So in these times of great change for us,
Yes.
how do we navigate through it? How does humanity begin to assess themselves in these environments where life has changed for forever?
Uh,
Big question.
very big
Is
question.
expanded understanding? Go there.
There's 7.6 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
There's probably 7.6 billion ways to do that. But, having said that, there are generalities. I really feel like it's about getting in touch with themselves, and doing stuff that makes most sense to them at the moment.
Mm.
If you're in crisis, seek help.
Where would someone
Honestly,
go
it's
for help?
well, I mean, in the
What
UK,
sort
there's well, some people might feel suicidal, and if that's, there's the Samaritans free 24-hour phone line, for example. Um, there's various mental health charities that people could reach out to, such as Mind. In fact, their website is really comprehensive and really good.
of?
Obviously, there are counsellors such as myself who work in private practice, um, but there are also some low cost counselling agencies, or, like I've said, go out into nature, or there are many books, many YouTube videos. So I can't really give a general answer. I can only say that what happened for me was that I just got interested in something. And when I got interested in something, it would suddenly appear everywhere, you know? And so then I would learn about that thing,
Mm.
whatever it was, or I'd learn. I remember reading Conversations with God books, when they first came out, whenever it was, 20 plus years ago. And for a while, I was really into it, and it taught me something. And then I moved on to the next thing. or I got very interested in healing work. So I went and explored that. And, so it's, to me, I don't know whether there's something that I could say that it's like, yeah, this is really what you should do and it's going to solve stuff for you.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you don't know what your feelings are, you need to try and get in touch with them. That's the first thing. And, there are ways that you can do that. But I do feel like isolation is probably the biggest killer and the biggest problem, especially in the Western world at the moment. And like your caller said, I've lost my thread now. Hang on, where's that thread gone? Someone's just come in and cut it with a bit. Hey, it's over there. I blame the full moon. I'm going to go back around to how you started.
Yeah, do that. Look, the moon is up apparently somewhere over there. Yeah, so wow. It's such a big subject. It really, really is. And all down to the life experiences that we've inherited, which are all about, you see, when we experience disconnection as well, not just in the intragenerational sense or the environmental situational sense, but there is an overall collective sense as well, isn't there?
A collective sense of?
Emotional overload, overwhelm, and disconnection.
Well, yeah. I mean, things have got to a kind of point where something's got to give, something's got to change. And I feel, my sort of take on it, there's a lot of light being pumped onto the planet, and there has been for the past few years, but it's ramping up, and it's like a muddy pool that's being filled with very clear water. So you're suddenly starting to be able to see everything, and you're being invited, the invitation, which might feel like you're being forced to sometimes, but really it's an invitation, is to look at yourself and look at your unresolved stuff and your disconnections. And that can feel overwhelming, isolating, lonely making, depressing, and all the rest of it. Definitely, it certainly can. But I would say to anyone listening that there are people out there who do get it, and actually there's a lot of them. There really are. If they might be environmental activists, they've got no interest in spirituality, but they love Earth and they love the planet and they love animals. Fine. To me, I don't care if someone's spiritual or not. As long as they've got a passion for something and they're trying to do good in the world, that is spiritual to me. I have no agenda to try and persuade them to my way of thinking. So yeah, we're being it's a unprecedented time, and to me the world has to, come on, we can do this thing. We are absolutely all the same. We are like one race, the human race. And turn to your neighbor and extend your hand, because that's what we've got. That's who we are. We're in that way, we're all like 7.6 billion individuals, but we're all the same in essence. And now's your chance, now's your opportunity. We can, we've got this. We're walking forward into ascension. So let's make a different world. I don't think many people are happy with the world that's in existence. I certainly am not. Obviously there's parts of it which are amazing. But so it's, I'll just go back to what I said before. I've got control and power over myself. That's it. And I think there's a Rumi quote that says something like, once I was clever and I thought I'd change the world. Now I'm wise and I'm changing myself. And to me, and those, that change and those changes that you make, however tiny or minuscule they might be, ripple outwards and touch other people. We're just not often aware of that, but they do.
Yeah, it's a fascinating subject. It really is. I mean, as day by day and the energies change, the solar energies change, it's going to push all this stuff to the surface, isn't it?
Absolutely. And this is what we've been waiting for. Well,
Right.
yeah, in this cycle, this is what we've been waiting for. Come on, let's do it. We can do it.
Do you think that we had an expectation as a collective about it being something quite different?
Like,
1 minute I'm laying in bed, next minute, bing! Oh, awake! Hello, love. How are you? I love you. Oh.
Well, maybe some people did. I'm not quite sure that's how it works.
No.
on this plane.
No.
It seems to be kind of, step by step, and there are no quick fixes, and you just have to, walk along and do your work. That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. So I'm just going to put your details up here. Would you like to say anything else about your practice, your opening hours, what types of things you can help with, my dear?
I basically specialize in emotional health. So, I mean, I have seen people with some very, physical things. So I would never rule it out, but that's my specialism is mental health, emotional health. So I work with anything and everything to do with that. And that's shamanic as well as counselling. And I also have a lot of experience with bereavement, but also preparing for death, your own or someone else's.
So you're like a soul midwife, is that right?
Kind of. I think soul midwives tend to be people who sit with people as they actually pass into spirit. My lifestyle at this time doesn't actually lend itself to doing that because you've got to be available 24 hours. People they don't die at 2:00 in the afternoon, which is when it would suit me to work with them. But what I can more do is facilitate people to journey and actually go to the place. Say if you've got a terminal diagnosis and you want to kind of tidy up loose ends, or you're in complete, crisis because of that, let's work with that. Life and death go hand in hand.
They do. They do. So I've got your contact details here at the bottom of the screen.
Brilliant. That's wonderful.
Promoting your life-changing sessions. You really did help me a while back just to recalibrate something and work on a specific area. And it was absolutely amazing. So I really rate your service. I really do. And I don't just say that about anybody. Believe me, I know good practitioners, good therapists, and I'll say when they're good. And there are many, many out there that really just don't even hit the bar, but you go beyond the bar. It's held beautifully, absolutely beautifully. And I love your drum and I love your singing. It's just stunning.
Oh.
And the way that you supported me through that process, because I'm no stranger to those realms, but I felt I felt like you were my guide through it. And do you know what? It was really nice to be in that situation and not on my own for once.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Thank you. Thank you. Honestly, I just felt my heart open when you said that. And I feel blessed that I can do that do that for you and do that for others. And for me, it really is about walking alongside someone else. I've been there. I'm going to be there again. I mean, in whatever kind of next challenge that life throws at me. And, it's just having that humbleness. Remember that I don't actually know more than anyone else, but I've got certain tools and certain life experiences. So yeah. Yes, thank you, Angela.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. So I'm just feeling out the mood around in the ethers, and I'm feeling just for a split second there, because I sort of do this on and off throughout shows, is that I'll work with that. I can feel that moon energy so strong. So I often go into these little minute by moment guided processes of connection of moon. Well, not just this, that's just the example of tonight. Because the moon is reflecting such strong solar energy, and we're both Leonine. So
We are.
I'm just sort of pouring my Jaguar self to the computer. Because I don't know, maybe you would share in this journey process as we create it through the ethers. What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'd like to invite all who are listening, past, present, and future, to connect to their hearts, connect to the gut, connect to the root, center of the earth, center of the dreaming planetary mind. And just take a deep breath in and allow your waters to softly flow without resistance. Allow your blood to soften, your emotions to soften as you focus on your inner light. And as you focus there, it grows stronger. And it becomes wider and more expansive as you move the energy up into the head, just providing yourself with a moment of relief from all stories that keep you off track, yours or other people's. And just inviting you to connect to the light of the moon. Our sister moon. And uploading our experiences of light to the moon that connects to the sun. And bringing that golden pure light, the force of the lion's gate, the activation point of energy coming into this universe in this moment. Allow your fears to burn away in this true light. Allow your overwhelm to disappear and dissolve. Esther, would you continue?
And allow your true self, your true essence, to slowly and softly gently just show itself. And just for a moment, and to know in that moment and in this moment, you are perfect. You are absolutely where you're meant to be right now. And if that place is not a pleasant one for you, know that you will walk forward and move forward and arrive in a better place. If you just see, maybe just imagine that you're in a bit of a fog at the moment. You're in a foggy place. Perhaps you're outside, or just in front of you and around you is this fog. But you're perfectly safe. And just in front of you, walking towards you, you see a light coming. And you see this being coming towards you. And this being is, I think it's an animal or a bird, if that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, just go with whatever's happening for you. And as this animal becomes clearer and comes closer to you, you realize that it's an old friend that you haven't seen for many, many years. And you greet it, this old friend. It's like you're having a massive reunion. And there's a lot of love passing between you. You look in each other's eyes, and there you see love, trust, hope, friendship, communion. And this being hands you something. It's just a token. And you take it. This is for you. This is from their heart to yours. And this old friend of yours is going to go now. Excuse me, but you need to know that you can meet them again anytime you want. And they gently and slowly move away from you. You just wave to them as they leave. And you look down and you open your hand and you look at what they've given you. And whatever they've given you is a message to you that you need to hear or to experience right now. And it's given with love, the highest and purest love. You take it and you hold it closer to yourself. And you might want to put it in a pocket, or you might just hold it to your body and it slowly melts into your heart. And now, just slowly and gently, Feel your feet on the floor and just focus on your breath coming in and going out, coming in and going out. There's nothing you need to do. And slowly and gently, when you're ready, just open your eyes and come back into the room. And you have been given a gift from an old, loving friend. Happy full moon.
Blessings. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So lovely people out there. We love you all. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Women's Work International podcast on expanded understanding. The purpose of this podcast is to raise awareness of issues that affect us as women from birth to death, and to provide a platform, a resource, so we can share information on how we can become the maestras of our own reality, heal ourselves, heal our families, heal our nations. And we have a specific program for this, as you know, and we are raising funds to support the first flagship project in Mexico, in Malinalco. So do keep tuning back. We're very grateful for your presence, for your input. And I'm putting together a protocol for the purposes of stopping rape. It's the Stop Rape Protocol. And I'd be so happy to hear from anybody that wanted to contribute to that document, which is going to be used and promoted in schools and other areas where early intervention is required. And this requires our communities to do that. So if you would like to do that, please do get in contact with me at the Facebook page, Women's Work, and you will find all the information there to contact me and get in contact and make a connection, and perhaps you can contribute in some way, shape or form. That would be wonderful to that document. And it's going to be a breathing document and ever evolving as time goes forward. So I'd like to say thank you very much for that. Do check back every Monday, 9 p.m. GMT, 1 p.m. PST, 4 p.m. EST. And we'll for every Monday, for this very purpose of holding space for discussion, for amazing people to come on and talk about how their work affects the things that we do and what we can do to help ourselves, because we need it. So thank you, Esther, for joining us, myself. And next week we're going to have a different outlook. I'm not going to say what I think it's going to be, because it's a secret at this point. Yeah, so again, thank you very much, lovely people. If you're interested in a session, please do contact me. Hello, Santos. On Facebook, Source Frequency Healing, or Angela Miller on Facebook, or for Business Resolution Services, Concordia Consularis. So thank you very much, everybody. This has been Women's Work. This is the lovely Esther Lohneis of seeinginthedark.co.uk. And please do get in contact for emotional help, support and guidance. So I'm going to end this lovely broadcast. Thank you very much and good night. Full moon blessings, Lionsgate blessings, and harness the energy. And hello, Rossio. I wish you better, lovely. Okay, good night. Thanks, Esther.
Good night. You're welcome. Good night.